And would it be fair to say, looking at your plans overall, that you think that the government needs to borrow more now, and that's in order to boost growth in the economy?
No, what I would say is that we need to get borrowing down. Look, what's happened is that this government came to power and we're borrowing £245 billion more than they said. Not because we haven't had the cuts, not because we haven't had the tax rises, but because they haven't got the growth. I mean, just to give you one...
But your solution to producing more growth is to spend more, is it not?
Well, let me give you just one figure, because I think it's really important to understand this. George Osborne, in his June 2010 budget, said that by 2015-16, the current budget deficit would be zero. In other words, the government will be matching its current expenditure with revenue. Do you know, Martha, what that figure is now projected to be?
You tell me.
£61 billion. £61 billion. I mean, just imagine. Now, what we're saying is there is a different way forward for the economy. You've got to get the growth going, because unless you get the growth, you're not going to get borrowing down. So
I understand what your argument is, but in order to produce more growth, if you were Prime Minister at the moment, you would be spending and borrowing more, wouldn't you?
Well, I don't accept that borrowing would be higher under a Labour government, because borrowing would be lower over the medium term. The whole point is that they haven't got the growth.
Well, the medium term is jammed tomorrow, isn't it? When Ed Balls was asked about this very question, he was more open. He answered it. When he was asked whether he would borrow more if he were Chancellor now, he said, and I quote, "That is what I would do right now."
The government is cutting too far and too fast. Ed Balls is absolutely right about that. If you're going to get borrowing down, though, and this is the point he was making on the interview you're talking about, if you're going to get borrowing down, you absolutely have got to get growth moving, investing in our infrastructure, getting young people back to work. Those are the things that will make a difference. You know, this argument that the government has, that somehow that they are meeting their deficit plans, they are singularly failing to do so.
But all I'm asking you is to explain how you're going to boost growth, and that is by spending more, and that's by borrowing more, if you were Prime Minister at the moment. I just want a straight answer to that.
Well, I am giving you a very straight answer. I think borrowing would be lower under a Labour government over the medium term.
In the medium term, but I'm asking you what you would do right now.
Yeah,
if I made you Prime Minister right now, what would you do?
What we would do right now is the 5-point plan for growth and jobs. A VAT cut, which I think would get our economy moving. Have a bank bonus tax to get our young people working again. Make a huge difference to the economy. A small business relief for small business, because that would make a big difference. VAT to 5% on repairs and maintenance, and advanced investment in our infrastructure. Now, all of those things, I believe, Martha, and I really want to be clear with you about this, all of those things, I think, would contribute to deficit reduction. Because
let me ask you about one of those policies in detail. First on your list was the temporary VAT cut. How long would you cut VAT for?
That depends on the state of the economy. I think it would look.
If you're Prime Minister today.
Well, it depends on the state of the economy. That's a judgment
you know
we
what
would
it's
take.
like today.
Yeah, well, we've said that for about a year we'd have a temporary VAT cut, but that obviously depends on the state of the economy, and you have to make a judgment, budget by budget, about the necessity of that VAT cut.
That's interesting. You say for about a year. Now that would cost the Exchequer around £12 billion. So how would you fund that?
Well, what I'm saying to you is that we would have that temporary VAT cut, that would contribute to growth, and that would get borrowing down.
It wouldn't contribute to growth tomorrow. If you're Prime Minister now, cut VAT for a year, you're going to have to spend £12 billion, and you hope you'll get the money back in the medium term, but you don't know that. So you'll have to borrow more, wouldn't you?
No, because you don't understand, Martha. I don't think you're quite accepting this point. Why has George Osborne's borrowing gone from 0 to £61 billion? Why do you think that is?
I'm asking you about your plans, not George Osborne's. I'll be talking to the Prime Minister. I want to ask you.
It's very relevant.
I understand why you want to change the subject.
I'm not changing the subject at all.
Just answer my question, which is...
It's very relevant to this point. It's very relevant to this point.
You want to cut VAT by and which will cost the country £12 billion. How are you going to fund that in the short term? I'm not asking you about the medium term. No, the whole point about a VAT cut is it would get growth moving, and if you get growth moving, you get more tax revenues in, and therefore you get borrowing down. That's the point of what we're saying. And I think it's really important. Possibly you do. You don't know that, do you?
Well, I don't accept that. All of the independent estimates that I've seen say that a VAT cut would contribute to growth.
Now, one of the reasons I've been pressing you on this is because some of the criticism of your leadership has been that because you're not so clear on giving answers to some of these questions, that's why Labour is behind on trust when it comes to running the economy.
No, I think that the issue is different to that. I think the issue is that people see that you've had 3 years of this government. You see a government that has taken the country in the wrong direction, but people are asking this very profound question, which is, can anyone sort out the mess that the economy is in? Now, my emphatic answer to that is yes.